كده المفروض لايف على تويتش ويوتيوب. تمام. احنا محتاجين بس ايه، انا محتاج اشوف احنا لايف ولا لا. لحظة. آه بعمل سيرفي من اهو و اهو اهو أهو. مش عارف اعمل ثانية، استنى. طب لو ده عربيات ماشي اهو. اها. اهي 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 اهي. كروس ووك اهو اهو. اها اها اها. بس برضو هي دي النيلة. انا عارف ان طب استنى، طب انا هفتح اللعبة بسرعة قبل ما قبل ما انا احل المشكلة دي. أه... استنى. فين ده ستانلي بيربل؟ ده ستانلي بيربل، ده ستانلي بيربل اهي. ماشي بتفتح اهي. ماشي جيم كابتشر. لحظة. هي فين بقى؟ المفروض تبان اهي. ماشي. هي اللعبة اهي. ماشي بس احنا محتاجين بقى ايه، نشوف الشات. بس عشان نشوف الشات محتاجين نشوف الباسورد. انا ليه ولا الباسورد مش راضي يتعمل؟ استنى كده بقى. طب ايه، طيب وانا كتبت غلط؟ ما هو صح اهو. كورز اهي، عربية اهي، وعربية اهي، عربية اهي، عربية اهي، عربية اهي، عربية اهي. بس مفيش عربيات تانية بقى. لا هو على فكرة في حاجة غلط، في حاجة غلط. طب المشكلة في اليمين. اهو. طيب لو خلينا كده. عربية اهي، عربية اهي، عربية اهي. عربية فين؟ عربية اهي. على ما اعتقد، على ما اعتقد دي عربية كمان، في عربيات هنا برضه. بس فيريفاي. لا في حاجة غلط، لا بجد في حاجة غلط. هو ليه مش راضي يعمل ساين ان؟ لحظة كده. طب ما هو عامل ساين ان هنا. استنوا يا جماعة، لوج اوت. اه... لوج ان. الله. هو معمول عربي؟ لا معمول انجلش. الله. بس الناس اللي على اليوتيوب دلوقتي انا مش شايف الشات بتاعكم لو انتوا بتكتبوا. انا مش شايف الشات، عشان كده دي مشكلة بالنسبة لي. لحظة. كروس فوت. هي دي النيلة، قريت شوية تاني. طب لحظة بالسمع. لحظة.
and encouraging them.
ايه انت بتقول ايه يا ابني؟ and the thing. Okay. اخيرا. اوكي. بس خلاص عملتها. ماشي استنى بقى ما اشوف اليوتيوب. هل في حد بيتفرج او كتب اي حاجة؟ لا. اوكي. بس خلاص عملتها. ماشي استنى بقى ما اشوف. ماشي. اوكي. كده اليوتيوب شغال 720p. الكواليتي بتاعت الفيديو حلوة المفروض. أه... اقفل بقى ريستريم كده. خلي ده شغال. خلي ده هنا. لحظة. انا اسف جدا للناس اللي بتتفرج. تمام. على ده كفيديو. ماشي. محتاجين بس. ماشي انا كنت بتأكد بس الدنيا عاملة ايه. ماشي انا مش هكدب عليكم، انا لعبت كذا.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions. Call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. There was nothing here, no choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here. It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA. Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused. You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it. Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friend, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favourite." I hope your friends find this concerning. Stanley was fat and ugly and really, really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers. Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway. Ah, second player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee...
يا لهوي، انا كل ده عمال اترجم والصوت مش بتاع ده، وصوت الميكروفون مقفول. حرام. هو عامة بيقول ان هو عامة ملخص، يعني ان في ان احنا المفروض لاعب
You can't do any worse than the person who came before you. You too? Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway. Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all. blackness, and a rising
تست. تست. اوكي. اصل الصوت بتاع الميكروفون ما كانش شغال عادل، مش عارف ليه. اوكي، انا محتاج بس اظبط اللعبة دي ليها دراع. لحظة، عايز اجرب. أه... لحظة، عايز اجرب بس هل ليها دراع، عشان لو ليها اقسم بالله هتبقى لعبة زي الفل، عشان انا هستريح جدا. ماشي، لحظة. جيمز، لا مش جيمز، دي اس 4. ماشي. اوكي، دلوقتي الدراع المفروض يشتغل. ماشي. صوت اللعبة برضه اتكتم، مش عارف ليه. صوت اللعبة عمال يتكتم لوحده. ليها
Stanley took the first open door on his
ليها دراع الحمد لله. والفيلد اوف فيو ليها برضو. كنترولر فايبريشن، يعني احنا على ما اعتقد نقدر نشيل الدي اس 4. نقدر نقفله. يس. وهيبقى شغال. لا لازم يبقى معانا الدي اس 4. اوكي لحظة، محتاجين بقى نعلي الكنترولز. فين؟ كاميرا sensitivity نعليها كده شوية. 6 7.
left.
هي بتلاقي مش عارف ليه، او انا عارف ليه الصراحة. صح ماشي كده. المفروض اللاج هيروح. كده اللاج راح، بس انا محتاج اعلي السنسيتيفيتي. محتاج اعليها اكتر. ماشي ندخل هنا.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
لك هو دخل الباب بتاع التصليح بتاع الصيانة، وبعدها مشي على طول وراح على نفس وراح على الطريق بتاع البتاع ده، الاوفيس، البوس اوفيس. ندخل هنا بقى، ننزل تحت. بص
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office.
لك
He
استنى، ما
wanted
كانش
to
عايز
wander
يروح
about and get even further off track.
الأوفيس.
So now, in order to get back, he needed to go from here it's left.
يقولك هو راح، بيقولك هو قرر ان هو يروح على الشمال علشان هو ما كانش عايز يروح الاوفيس. بص
Oh no, no,
بيقول
it's
لك
to the right, my
بيقول لك
mistake.
لا، هو الاتجاه الصح هو اليمين. غلط ليه؟
No, 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 no,
يقول لك
not
لا
the
لا لا،
right.
مش
Why would I
الشمال.
have ever
بيقول
said
لك
it
مش
was to
اليمين.
the right? What was I thinking?
يقول لك انا كنت
It's
بفكر في ايه.
clearly. Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute,
يقول
please?
لك استنى. يقول استنى بس دقيقة.
Now let's see. We went down right,
نشوف
left,
السكريبت.
down, left, right. Yep. Okay. Yes, I've got it now. This story
Okay,
is
later.
absolutely, definitely this way.
يقول لك القصة هي في الطريق ده بالظبط. تمام.
No.
لك
This
لا
isn't
لا لا
right
لا
at
لا.
all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a
يقول لك لا لا لا، ده كده كله غلط. انت ما كانش المفروض تشوف الكلام ده.
spoiler. Quick,
ده كده
Stanley, close your
سبويلر.
eyes.
يقول لك بسرعة يا ستانلي اقفل عينيك.
Okay. We just have to get back to Oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
يقول لك هيرستر اللعبة دلوقتي. بصوا بقى.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting
احنا
room.
بوظنا له
Perhaps he
اللعبة.
had simply missed a memo.
بصوا بقى. بص.
When Stanley...
بصوا.
Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh.
يقول لك انا رسترت اللعبة كلها. المفروض كل حاجة تبقى فريش.
Everything should be...
كل حاجة المفروض
did
تبقى.
something change?
يقول لك في حاجة
Stanley,
اتغيرت.
did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors?
يقول لك ستانلي انت غيرت اي حاجة لما احنا كنا في الأوضة اللي كان فيها الشاشات.
You move the story somewhere or...
يقول لك انت حركت القصة لمكان ما ولا ايه؟
Why am I
يقول لك
asking
استنى.
you? I'm the one who wrote the story.
يقول لك استنى كده. هو انا ليه بسألك؟ انا اللي كتبت القصة.
It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay then, it's an adventure. Come Stanley, let's find the story.
يقول لك يلا استنى تعالى نلاقي القصة. بصوا يا جماعة انا هوريكم حاجة. بصوا بص بصوا بصوا، انا بديلكم هنت بس. بص 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 بقى. احنا المفروض نقدر نروح من هنا. هو ده الباب الصح عامة، بس بصوا نقدر نروح هنا كده، هنروح هنا. هو احنا كده
I'll
هنروح على
say it.
الباب.
This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game
اهو
again?
بصوا.
Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this.
تمام.
Okay, let's give it a
بصوا
shot. Why not?
بس هو هيرستر اللعبة تاني.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
بص.
Okay, yep, it's worse.
لك
I
ايوه
might be
ده
remembering
أسوأ.
this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
قلت تعالى نروح الطريق التاني، نفس الطريق العكس، نشوف هنا لو فوتنا أي حاجة.
Aha! I knew we'd miss something.
يقول لك
The
أها أنا
story.
عرفت.
Here it comes.
يقول لك أنا عرفت إن احنا فوتنا حاجة. يقول لك القصة اهي جاية اهي.
No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and
ماشي.
retrace our steps.
هنعيد الخطوات بتاعتنا، نشوف. بصوا
Now this,
بص.
well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is
لكن-
this the story?
يقول لك أنا هبقى، بيقول لك أنا هبقى صريح، أنا مش متعرف على المكان ده خالص. يقول لك هي
I
دي
don't
القصة.
think so.
يقول لك أنا ما
I
أعتقدش.
can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win!
Excellent.
Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time, I have to restart.
يقول لك أنا لازم أرستر. يقول لك أنا مش مهتم إيه اللي ممكن يحصل، أنا لازم أرستر.
All right,
Yes.
I've got a solution. This
Yes, sir.
time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
بيقول لك أنا حطيت خط تمام علشان ما انتوش. يقول لك تبع الخط عشان بتاع ده، عشان ما انتوش يعني وكده، عشان يودينا على القصة.
You see?
بص بقى.
The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny.
يقول لك الخط
Nope.
عارف هو
Here's a thought. Wouldn't
يقول لك هو الخط عارف هو القصة فين. مش عارف
wherever
ابدأ
we
ليه.
end
أوكي.
up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa. Hang on.
يقول لك
That got a
استنى
bit weird
استنى.
back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that.
يقول لك هو
You
مش
know
عارف
what?
انا كنت رايح
I
فين في
think
الكلام
what we
ده.
need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
هشغل موسيقى. انا بعتقد الموسيقى دي كوبي رايت، تمام، فانا هقفلها للاسف. طب لحظة استنوا كده، انا عايز اعمل سيرش. هل ستانلي بيربل الموسيقى بتاعتها كوبي رايت ولا لا؟ عشان لازم اتاكد الصراحة. يس، ستانلي بيربل. ترى music copyrighted. ما اعتقدش هو مارك بلاير بتاع ده. مارك بلاير كان بيرقص على الأغنية. لا ما اعتقدش ان هي كوبي رايت. تمام.
Wait, cut the music.
يقولك
Go
استنى
back and look at
اقفل.
that fern.
يقولك استنى اقفل الموسيقى. يقولك ارجع تاني ولوك على البتاع
Stanley,
ده.
this fern will be very important later in the story.
يقولك
Make
البتاع
sure
دي.
you study it closely and remember it carefully.
يقولك البتاع ده هيبقى ليه علاقة للقصة بعدين. يقولك اعمل حسابك ان انت تبقى بص عليه دايما وما يعني تبقى بص عليه اللي هو تفتكره.
You won't want to miss anything.
يعني انت مش عايز تنسى اي حاجة، تفوت اي حاجة. ماشي وصل.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No, no.
كان رجعنا
Line,
تاني
you
على
do know
البتاع.
we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story.
يقولك لاين تريد مارك.
Is any of this ringing a bell?
هو احنا لسه فاتحين جوجل؟ استنى كده. اه ايه في الجوجل. ماشي ماشي. بص بقى نروح اي حتة حرفيا. بص ايه اللي هيحصل. ايه ده احنا رجعنا نفس الحتة. تمام. طيب لو احنا نقدر نروح هنا ممكن هو ده الطريق. لا ده نفس الاوفيس. احنا ممكن نروح بقى الطريق ده. بس هو في طريقين ده وده. كده هو نفس الخط فنرجع تاني. يبقى هو الطريق ده بقى. ندخل من هنا. ايوه هو ده.
Oh no,
يقول لك
no,
لا
not
لا لا
again,
لا
Line. How
مش
could you have
مش
done this
تاني
to
ده.
us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
هيرستر تاني. بص.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're
يقول لك نراعي حاجة ستانلي. احنا نقدر انا مش عارف اتكلم. بيقول لك انسى الادفنتشر لاين
intelligent
ده.
people, right?
بيقول لك احنا الاتنين ناس اذكياء جدا مش كده.
Why can't we make up our own story?
يقول لك احنا ليه ما
Something
نقدرش. يقول لك احنا ليه ما نقدرش نعمل القصة بتاعتنا.
exciting, daring, mysterious. This all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
بيقول لك تعالى نروح نستكشف في المكان ده.
Now, yes, this is exciting.
يقول لك
Just
هذا
me and
مثير.
Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your
يقول
imagination.
لك انت عايز القصة
Whatever it
بتاعتك
might
تبقى
be,
ايه.
Stanley, I'm ready for it.
يقول لك ايا كانت ايه هي ستانلي انا مستعد ليها.
Oh, no, not you again.
يقول لك
Stanley, I'd
لا
also
مش
like
انت
to veto
تاني.
the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
تمام.
Ah,
اوكي.
a choice.
يقول
We
لك
get to make a decision. From here, the
أيوة.
story is in our control.
بيقول لك مننا
How
القصة
important
بيقول لك مننا القصة في اختيارنا.
we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute.
يقول لك امشي في دوائر
Okay,
لمدة
so I
دقيقة.
know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one.
ماشي بالك
Another victory for logic. Come,
الباب اللي على
Stanley.
اليمين هو
Our
بتاع ده.
destiny
صح.
awaits.
The confusion
Hold up, what's
ending.
this?
تمام بص ده كل
The
endings.
confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times?
اوكي احنا المفروض ندرس اللعبة 8
That's
مرات.
really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well,
بص
who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a
يقول
say
لك
in
من
all of
ريت
this?
ريستارت ذا
Is it
جيم
really?
المعلق
No, it can't
بيرستر
be.
اللعبة.
I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it.
اوكي
And the timer stopped?
بالك
Does that
التايمر
mean,
وقع.
did we do it? Did we break the cycle?
احنا
Whatever
كسرنا
it is that
الحلقة.
made this schedule?
لك
How would we
أيا يكن
even know?
ده كسر
Will someone come for us?
السكيدجول ده.
Will something happen?
اوكي
So, okay.
يقول لك طيب اوكي.
I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now.
Start the game.
We'll find out, won't
Okay,
we?
there's no longer
Eventually.
enough.
Well, in the meantime, if you...
اوكي لو اترسترت وهو هينسى بقى برضه بصوا.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley
بس
decided
بص
to go to
الحتة
the
دي.
meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
بص
When
لا،
Stanley
مش
came to a
ماشي.
set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
ماشي احنا نزلنا اخر مرة تحت.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
ماشي هندخل ده بقى.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
عشان ما نشوف بقى لما ندخل. اوكي طب لما ندخل بقى هنا ده نفس البتاع.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
تمام.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office.
ماشي احنا
Coming
طلعنا
to a
مرة فوق
staircase,
ننزل تحت.
Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
مفيش منزل تاني كده. اوكي انا مش شايف بس ماشي. اوكي
But
الجراج
Stanley
ده
just
بص.
couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a
Listen.
competitive economy, why had he taken that risk?
لسه
All
كنت راح.
because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy.
لحظة بس. تست. اوكي المايك شغال. ماشي. تست اوكي المايك شغال برضو. خلي الصوت كده. تمام يلا بينا تاني.
And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy.
يقول لك ممكن
All
ابقى
of
انا
my
مجنون.
co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment.
يقول لك كل زمايلي بيختفوا مرة واحدة. يعني بيختفوا في لحظة واحدة كلهم.
for no reason at all.
من غير اي
None
سبب
of it
خالص.
made any logical sense.
قلت لك مفيش اي حاجة
And as
عملت
Stanley pondered this,
مفيش اي حاجة عملت لوجيك، يعني مفيش اي حاجة عملت معنى معقول يعني.
he began to make other strange observations.
دي
For
ابتدى يلاحظ
example,
حاجات تانية.
why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down?
يقول لك ليه ما
Why did
كانش
Doc
يقدر يشوف رجله لما كان بيبص تحت؟
was closed automatically behind him wherever he went?
وليه الابواب كانت بتقفل حواليه دايما، في اي حتة حواليه اول ما بيمشي.
For that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they
Look,
simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last,
بعدها بيقول لك كل حاجة ابتدت تعمل يعني ما تعملش معنى. بيقول لك كل حاجة ابتدت يعني كل حاجة ملهاش معنى ان هي تبقى
he
حقيقية
came
يعني.
to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it.
بعدها بيقول لك وصل الكلام ده للاستنتاج اللي هو كان على طرف لسانه، بس مش عارف يلاقي الكلمات ليه.
I'm dreaming! He yelled.
بعدها
This
قال
is
انا
all
بحلم.
a dream.
كل ده حلم.
Oh, what a relief Stanley
بعدها
felt
ارتاح
to have finally found an answer, an
لما لقى
explanation. His
تفسير.
co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid.
انا عايز بس اتاكد هل لسه البتاع شغال. تمام. إيه.
So, he imagined himself flying and began to
بيقول لك وبعديها هو تخيل نفسه ان هو بيطير. صح. وبعديها بدأ
gently float above the ground.
بعديها ابتدى
Then
يطير
he
بالراحة عن
imagined
الأرض.
himself soaring through space on a magical star field, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner.
بعدها هو استغرب هو ليه ما سألش نفسه السؤال ده قبل
Why is
كده.
there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking?
بعدها ليه في صوت بيقوله في دماغه، ليه في صوت بيعلق على كل حاجة أنا أي
Now
حاجة
the
بعملها
voice
أو
was
بفكر.
describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it
بعدها
particularly
بيقول الصوت ده بعدها بيقول بيشرح نفسه ان هو بيبتدي ان ستانلي بيبتدي يستغربه يعني.
strange. I'm dreaming
غريبة.
about a voice describing me thinking
وبعدها بيقول انا بحلم بصوت بينصفني او بيوصفني
about how it's describing my thoughts.
ازاي هو بيوصف افكاري او
And while he
افكار.
thought it all very odd and wondered
Yeah,
if this
استغرب
voice spoke to all people in their dreams,
بعدها كل حاجة استغرب منها. وبعدها قال هو الصوت ده بيتكلم لكل حد في حلمه في أحلامهم
the
يعني.
truth was that of course this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain beyond a doubt that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently
بعدها هو
and he
فعلا
invited
بالراحة.
himself to wake up.
بعدها
He
لنفسه
felt
إنه
the cool weight of the blanket on his skin.
لك هو حس.
press.
وبعدها بيقول لك هو حس بالبطانية على جسمه
of the mattress on his back,
والضغط بتاع المرتبة على ظهره.
the fresh air of a world outside this one.
بعدها بيقول لك الهواء الفريش بتاع العالم البره ده.
Let me wake up, he thought to himself.
بعدها قال لنفسه خلوني أصحى.
I'm through with this dream.
أنا خلصت
I wish it
الحلم
to
ده.
be over.
أنا عايز الحلم ده
Let me
يخلص.
go back to my job.
خليني أروح
Let me
تاني للشغل بتاعي.
continue push. pushing the buttons.
خليني اكمل ان انا ادوس على زراير.
Ease. It's all I
أرجوك.
want.
ده كل حاجة انا عايزها.
I want my apartment
انا عايز
and
شقتي
my wife and my
وزوجتي
job. All I want is my
وشغلي.
life exactly the way it's always been.
كل حاجة انا عايزها.
My
انا عايزها ان الحياة بتاعتي زي ما هي، زي ما كانت يعني.
life is normal.
حياتي عادية.
I am normal.
انا عادي.
Everything will be fine.
كل حاجة تبقى عادية.
I am okay.
انا كويس. بعدين فتح عينه لقى نفسه برضه في نفس الحتة. بص بقى.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
ده كل حاجة ضلمت.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
يقول لك دي قصة واحدة اسمها ماريالا.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew.
لحظة معلش، أنا بتأكد بس الصوت لسه شغال ولا كويس ولا مش شغال ولا ايه وضع. محتاج اروح اجيب مية، انا صوتي
Everyone
ابتدى
knows
يروح.
what crazy people look like, and in that moment she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
يلا بعدها لفت وجريت. ماشي، دي نهاية من النهايات عامة. اوكي، انا اروح اجيب مية بسرعة عشان صوتي ابتدى يروح. اوكي استنوا بقى. be right back. اوكي رجعت. اوكي تست اوكي. بس هي احط ميه. لحظة، شيل ده كده، ابتدي اللعبة كده. انا عمال اخبط في المايك ده من الصبح. لحظة، انا جاتلي فكرة عشان اعرف المايك شغال عدل ولا لا. لحظة، ممكن اعمل كده sounds recording mic. اهو listen، لا levels، لا. بس كده ماشي. كل ما انا اجي اتكلم هعرف المايك شغال عدل ولا لا. بس اخليه كده بقى. ليه؟ ماشي، استنى بقى اشرب ميه. اوكي. واحد اتنين تلاتة. اوكي. صوتي برضه لسه رايح شوية بس اتحسن. اوكي.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
بس بقالي فترة
Stanley
كتير اوي
decided
ما
to go to the meeting
اتكلمتش.
room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
برضه ما شربتش مية برضه.
When
ماشي، احنا
Stanley
يعتبر
came to a set
خلصنا
of
الحتة
two
بتاعت
open
اليمين دي.
doors, he entered the door on his left.
نروح بقى الشمال.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
ماشي.
Feeling a
بص بقى.
wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office.
احنا
Coming to a
رحنا
staircase, Stanley
تحت.
walked upstairs
مش كده؟
to his boss's office.
اه ده
But
تاني.
Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that.
نسيت. ماشي. طب ايه طيب. quit menu. begin the game.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
ماشي. بقى نروح هنا ندخل شمال تاني بس هنطلع فوق
When
ولا.
Stanley came to a set
أو
of
تعالوا
two
ندخل
open
يمين.
doors, this was
لسه
not
في
the
نهاية.
correct way to the
لسه في
meeting
كذا
room,
نهاية
and
تانية هنا.
Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
ماشي، هنكمل على طول بقى المرة دي.
Stanley was so bad at following
ماشي،
directions,
بصوا
it's
الحتة دي بقى.
incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on... But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death.
لك ستانلي
Good
مات.
job, Stanley.
لك
Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
لك الكل عارف ان انت قوي جدا دلوقتي يا ستانلي.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a
إيش؟
memo.
بس هو لسه. هو ايه ده؟ ماشي. بس
When
حسيت
Stanley
ان
came
البتاع
to a set
اتغيرت.
of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
ماشي.
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
عايز بس اشوف الصوت بتاع اللعبة وصوتي برضو على اليوتيوب. اشوفهم بسرعة عشان ايه. عايز اشوف هل الصوت محتاج بتاع اللعبة يوطى شوية ولا ايه. لا، الفيديو ده هيبقى حلو فيبقى نخليه open a new window. ماشي، ونوقفه كده. ماشي. هل الصوت بتاع اللعبة كويس ولا ايه وضعه؟
To the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if... Did we break the cycle? Whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen to our belongings and walk to our place of work? But on this particular day,
لحظة، انا بشوف بس اوكي. ماشي. ماشي، الصوت لسه حلو بتاع اللعبة. اوكي. ماشي، بصوا.
Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
عشان نكمل على طول برضه.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
بصوا بقى،
Look, Stanley, I
نقدر
think perhaps
بص
we've
احنا
gotten
نقدر
off on the
نروح
wrong
هنا كده،
foot here. I'm
تمام،
not
او
your
حاجة
enemy,
تانية.
really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this
دي
time.
القصة اصلا
There's
عبارة
someone you've
عنك
been
انت،
neglecting, Stanley. Someone
عبارة
you've
عنك
forgotten
انت
about.
طول الوقت ده.
What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you
يدك
have
بجد؟
zero consideration for others? Are you
انت ما
that
عندكش اي بتاع ده، اي اهتمام لآراء الآخرين، مش لآراء يعني، للآخرين
convinced that I
عامة
want something bad to happen to you?
كده
Why?
كده.
I
ماشي.
don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
بص
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through
بس
the red door.
اوكي، اكسن اللي دخل عند الباب الأحمر. بص
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
اكسن اللي دخل
I
جوه
still
الباب
don't
الأحمر.
think we're communicating
بص
properly.
الباب الأحمر هنا.
Stanley walked through the red door. All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley.
يدك
You want to
اوكي،
know
روح
so
هناك.
badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Aha! You see, I knew I was onto something. Where do these flashes of inspiration come from? How did I know the game needed a third door? Well, it's instinct mostly, a calling in your gut. I really couldn't say where the idea came from, except that I felt it in my soul. You can't teach that, Stanley. Don't even try. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
الباب اتعملت. يقول لك ماشي. بص ده احنا يقول لك here.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience. You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot. Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
ايش بص، اللعبة دي عامة كانوا عاملين لها بتاع ده، عاملين لها جزء على لعبة ريك روم ان انا ويوسف لعبناه. كانت لعبة رعب بقى.
Oh no. No, it can't be.
لكن لا، ما ينفعش تبقى هي.
It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off.
بيقول لك دي لعبة عالم مفتوح. بيقول لك اقفلها.
Thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that
تست اوكي،
thing.
مايك
That
شغال.
big,
تست.
open, just wandering around, no right or wrong directions, no path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley.
انا عشان انا دخلت هنا.
I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls.
اوكي ندخل حتة تانية دلوقتي. بص ندخل لعبة تانية. بص
Okay, I think this will be just the thing.
بص روكيت ليج.
Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed. Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
ايش هو هدف لنا الكورة؟ يقول لي استمتع. الكورة يستمتع بقى.
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on?
لكن هي أحسن من القصة بتاعت اللي عدت عليها.
But if one ball generates a certain amount of raw adrenal pleasure, then surely multiple balls makes for an even more euphoric sports experience. I'm going to try it out. Here comes another ball. Yes. Oh goodness, that really does feel amazing, doesn't it? Stanley, I'm like a child in a confectionery shop. I simply have to have more. Hold on. What are you doing?
بقول لك كده انت بتعمل ايه؟ روقان عامة.
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you.
How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
ماشي بص بقى، نوعنا تاني تمام. احنا نوع على ايه؟ لا بصوا، ده الاوفيس. هي اللعبة مش رعب عامة، انا كنت فاكر الحتة دي رعب. اوكي. برضه انا كنت فاكر لما انا هرجع هنا الاقي حاجة تموتني، بس لا.
I wonder what he found.
لك
If what he
انا
wanted was to be the
بص،
leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
لكن هي تبقى هنا قريب، تبقى قريبة جدا من النهاية يعني. بس دي تعتبر نهاية من النهايات ده، هي بصوا. اوكي. تيست تيست، اوكي. مايك شغال. اوكي 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 اوكي. ماشي. اوكي. طب اما
Wait,
نجرب.
Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is
اوه
that
بصوا.
possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken.
اوكي، هو بيقول انا مستغرب ان الاوامر ابتدت اوكي اوكي.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
اوكي، هو عامة بص، هو هيبقى فيه نهاية غريبة عامة. ما احنا نروح شمال. بص، هنلاقي حاجة غريبة جدا. بصوا.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
بص بصوا، لما نيجي ندخل، ايه ده؟ حرام، مكانتش كان ماشي.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
2845 اوكي.
Stanley, yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing.
ايوه.
He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
لا مش هي. هنخلص الاندنج دي علشان في اندنج تانية انا كنت افتكرتها هي اللي هتحصل. ايوه ايوه هي دي تقريبا.
Stanley
لا
walked
مش
straight
هي.
ahead through the large door
أوه.
that read Mind
اهو بصوا
Control Facility.
في اندنج تانية
Although
هنا
this
بصوا.
passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get
هو
back on
عامة
track.
هو انا مش فاكر احنا على ما اعتقد احنا كنا لما نمشي كده كنا هنموت. على ما اعتقد هنموت.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
بس مش مهم بقى مش عايزين نموت. نرجع تاني. نبقى نشوف الاندنج دي بعدين.
But of course, Stanley thought better of it and realized he simply had too much to live for.
ماشي.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
ماشي.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place.
ماشي.
And as the cold reality of his past
هنشوف
began
دلوقتي
to
بصوا
sink in,
في ارقام
Stanley
هنا
decided
هتشوفوا
that
اللي
this
هتشوفوا ايه
machinery would
معناها.
never again exert its terrible power
قلنا له
over
المرة اللي
another
فاتت
human life.
اوف
For
هنقول له اون.
he would dismantle the controls once
بصوا ردة فعله.
and for all. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's
يا
only
رقم
so
5
much
هنا.
that machine can do.
ده
You were
رقم ايه؟
supposed to let it
ده رقم
go.
3.
Turn the controls off and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes.
دقيقتين.
Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going.
Okay.
What all this means, I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right,
4
I'm in a
نروح
good
نجيب
mood.
5.
You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I
لكن
turned
انا
off the
محيتهم.
machine. I set you free.
لكن قفلت
Of course, that was
المكنة
merely
اللي
in this
حررتك.
instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp.
هو ايه ده مش
I have to say this, though. This version of events has been rather
أربعة.
amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back
كي
the
أحمر.
control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees.
طب ايه طيب؟
Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here
I'll
will
just say
save
hi.
me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
اوكي احنا متنا. اوكي.
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing.
الكلام بيتغير كل مرة، انتوا مش ملاحظين؟
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
ماشي
Perhaps
بصوا
he
بقى.
wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
هوريكم
Stanley felt
اندينج
lightheaded,
دلوقتي بصوا.
butterflies in his stomach. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
دخلنا ده خلصنا.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
ماشي.
I'm not your enemy, really I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in
انا
someone
جرب
else
انزل هنا، ما
is
جربناش
difficult,
الباب
but the
الاحمر.
fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really? I was
ماشي.
in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help
Yes,
you,
I'll
to
tell you.
show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it.
Yes,
Let
boss.
me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
ماشي نروح الريد
Oh,
دور.
thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you.
اوكي ندخل الباب ده. اوكي ايوه اللعبة تعمل ايه ده؟
What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
مش عارف هو يعمل ايه بس اوكي. اوكي تعالى بقى. اوه تصدق المكان ده شكله حلو فعلا. انا نقدر نقع؟ لا ما نقدرش. تعالى ننزل بقى كده. ايه ده بقى؟
No, wait. Where are you going?
يقول لك لا استنى انت رايح فين؟ اوكي انا
Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this.
إذا كنت أذيت نفسك أو وقعت أو حصل لك أي حاجة اللعبة هترستر، احنا هنخسر كل ده.
Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing.
يقول لك فكر باللي انت هتعمله. أكيد الواد ده مش هيفتح. اوكي احنا نقدر ننتحر. استنى بقى كده ونجرب.
No!
يقول لأ.
Oh, thank God you lived.
يقول لك شكرا يا رب إن أنت عشت.
No, what are you doing,
يقول لك
Stanley?
لا أنت بتعمل ايه؟
Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this?
كان عايز أجرب لما احنا نرجع تاني. نرجع تاني تحت. عايز أجرب ايه اللي هيحصل. لو احنا رحنا هنا ايه اللي هيحصل؟ طلعنا فوق تاني. يا ترى ايه اللي هيحصل؟ هل هيقول اي حاجة؟
There. See? This is what you want. This is where we can both be happy. We really can. If we stop moving, we just have to stop moving.
لكن احنا لازم بس نقف على الحركة. طب لو انا وقفت فعلا ايه اللي هيجرى؟ اوكي ما نروح ننتحر بقى. نشوف ردة فعله تاني.
Stanley, go back. There's nothing good that can come from this.
اوكي بنأذي نفسنا بقى اللي هيحصل.
Do you just not believe me? What can I say to convince you?
يلا بينا. وي
Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for me?
اوكي ستانلي ينفع نروح عند الأوضة التانية؟ انت تقدر تعمل ده ليا؟ عايز اجرب.
Perhaps you can. Perhaps you
بنشوف
finally
بقى
see
اما
what
نروح.
I'm talking about. I know you'll see that we can't be happy if we leave this place. You can see that, can't you?
ماشي، يلا بقى نرجع تاني.
No, perhaps not.
يقولك تقريبا لا. احنا بقينا بتوع، انتوا ملاحظين رجلنا وجعتنا.
My God, is this really how much you dislike my game?
يقولك يا رب
That
يا
you'll
بطل
throw yourself
للدرجة
from
دي،
this platform over and over to be rid of it?
تكره اللعبة
You're
بتاعتي
literally
للدرجة
willing
دي.
to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly?
يقولك انت عايز تقتل فعلا نفسك علشان تمنعني ان انا ابقى سعيد. انت ناقل الموضوع صح؟
Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore.
يقولك انت
I just wanted
مستمتع
us to
بيها.
get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours.
طب ايه اللي هيحصل طب لو انا نزلت؟ لو انا نزلت بقى وفرحته بقى، ايه اللي هيجرى؟ عايز اجرب.
Do you actually want to stay alive? Or are you just teasing me?
يقولك انت عايز فعلا تبقى حي ولا انت بتهزر معايا؟
I wanted us to be happy here, Stanley. I really did. I wish I still thought that was possible.
ترى لو احنا فضلنا واقفين كده هل هيقول حاجة؟ لا معلش. طيب، طب لو رحنا طيب هنا، احنا بقينا ابطأ بكتير. احنا عبال ما نطلع هياخد مننا كتير الوقت ده. عشان نطلع زي اساسنز كريد، نطلع على المواسير دي هنطلع اسرع اقسم بالله. يلا بينا. طب هل نقدر نفتح الباب ده؟ لا. وي هنموت دلوقتي.
Is it over?
كده كان الموضوع
It's going
خلص.
to restart, isn't it?
لكن اللعبة
I'm going
هترستر مش
back.
كده؟ لكن هرجع تاني.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley
Missy.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
انا حاسس ان احنا
This
خلصنا
was not the
الاندنجز.
correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
عايز اجرب
The
حاجة.
lounge was grand, majestic, perhaps, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
انا البتاع لما احنا بنبوظ اللعبة كانت منين؟ اه لحظة، ده في اندنج. صح صح صح.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
اه بص، بيقولك do not jump from the cargo lift while it is in motion. ما تنطش من على على البتاعة دي، على الاسانسير ده، طالما هي في تحرك، يعني لو طالما هي بتتحرك. لان اللي هيحصل هو ان انت هتموت. زي بيقولك الغرامة ان انت تستخدم البتاعة دي غلط، ان انت تدفع 1000 جنيه. ولو انت نطيت من على الكارجو ليفت دي تدفع $5000.
Look, Stanley,
وين
I
دي
think
$1000
perhaps
برضه.
we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about.
يقولك في حد نسيت عنه.
Stop trying to make every decision by yourself.
حاول ان انت
I'm not asking for
تبطل.
me, I'm asking for her.
يقولك انا مش بسأل ليا، اسأل
Your chance
انا
to
بسأل ليها
redeem
هي.
yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
يقولك هي كانت منتظراك.
That's her, Stanley.
يقولك ده هي
You need to
ستانلي.
be the one to do this, to reach out to her.
تكلمها.
If you can truly place your...
ماشي بص بقى.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right.
بص.
Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
عمل لنا مقلب.
Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife?
Yeah,
who want
exactly.
to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley. Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
طب لو احنا ما دوسناش. مش هقول حاجة. طيب ايه ده؟ حلو.
But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
بيحكي الموضوع اللي حصل.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
ايه انا استنى. جرب ما ندوس الزرار ده. استنى احنا هنجرب بقى. استنى. احنا هنفضل كده شوية شكلنا. بس انا كل مرة كنت بدوس. لسه برضو. لسه. اوكي.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button.
يقول لك
And I
بليز ده. يقول لك أرجوك موت. اللعبة هترستر. تمام.
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing.
لما أنا
When
أدخل هنا
Stanley came to a
طب
set
أنا
of
هوريكم
two
حاجة.
open doors. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he
Yes.
wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. And here it was, the lounge. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your
You know, أنا
enemy,
كنت-
really.
Yeah.
I'm not. But in his eagerness
كنتش
to prove
عايز-
that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do,
كنتش عايز أقع.
Stanley leapt from the platform and
لقيت نفسي
plunged
وقعت
to his
أصلا.
death.
لقيت
Good
الدراع
job, Stanley.
بيتحرك.
Everyone thinks you are very powerful. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
ياه.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
الجملة القديمة ابتدت تظهر تاني للأسف.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
يوه.
It was okay.
وأنا أدوس على السماعة.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
إيه ده؟ ماشي.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please,
Yes, sir.
stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life.
ده
She's been
بص
waiting.
بص. هتضحكوا دلوقتي.
That's
بص.
her, Stanley. You need to be... Oh, no,
But
you
like-
can't... Did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that?
لكن المفروض ده ما كانش أصلا خيار. انت ازاي عملت كده؟
You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible.
لكن انا
Let me-
معرفتش اصلا ان ده مش ان ده يعني ان ده ايه منطقي يعني. ايه ده؟ أنا عايز اجرب حاجة كده. تيست تيست. ايه ده؟ ده المايك شغال. استنى كده. انا عايز اجرب صوته. تيست. تست. بوظ خالص. تست تست. كل ده ده كان المايك بتاع السماعة، بس انا ما استخدمتوش قبل كده.
Double check.
ماشي.
No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley
لا شفت
picks.
ده. انا عايز اشيل البتاع ده. فين البتاع؟ تست تست. اوكي المايك ده شغال. اوكي انا اروح اعمل حاجة بس بسرعة. تمام. حاجة انا نسيت اعملها، كان لازم اعملها. مش هتأخر عامة. اوكي بي رايت باك. اوكي انا رجعت. خلاص عليكم تسمعوني عدل. تست تست. اوكي. آه... جبت حاجة برضه اكلها، كنت بعمل حاجة وقلت اجيب حاجة اكلها برضه. آه... نلعب برضه بالدراع. عايز خلوني ايه اجيب الحاجة اللي انا هاكلها. ماشي يلا بينا.
Up the phone, he's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually
لحظة. هو انا ليه مش عارف اشوف الصوت بتاع المايك؟ يعني البتاع، ايوه دي. خلاص تقدر تشوفها تاني. ماشي.
somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person.
انت شخص حقيقي.
I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices, and to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person, but if used incorrectly can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back sack and crack." Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Ah, welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
ماشي وصل. نجرب حاجة دلوقتي. بس نعمله نجرب لحظة. لحظة بجد فكرة. هو ليه الماوس باين؟ اوكي ماشي.
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality. Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world. Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Night Shark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code. Stanley spoke the code. Night Shark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall. I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise, we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step. Okay, fine, you're not going to do it, but you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
بص لما ندخل تاني. بص الناس. ending دي مطولة شوية.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
على حسب ما
Feeling a
افتكر
wave
يعني.
of disbelief,
أيوه.
behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
بص.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Okay. Test. Okay, make sure.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief,
لازم ندخل بأول على اليمين.
exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
استنى كده يا جماعة، أنا هروح أعمل حاجة بسرعة. مش انا رجعت. كيف هاندل بتاعه تعمل له ميوت؟ لا الحمد لله. لكن بقى نروح ندخل الباب اللي على اليمين. ماشي.
No! Why did you do that?
Also?
Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
احنا قربنا ندخل تاني هنا. نرجع بقى كده. بصوا بعد ما عملنا كده نيجي نرجع تاني. على ما اعتقد هيقفل. لا ماشي. حتة من اللعبة. ايوه صح.
Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that you... My story. You've destroyed my work.
ده كده
Why?
دمرت
For what? What did you get
sorry.
out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
اقفل. بص بقى.
Oh, I'm here. I'm still here in this pile of rubbish, with you, who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see?
Okay.
Didn't I impress upon you how important it
Make
was
start
to
any.
be like Stanley?
American
He
boys
actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make...
لعبة قفلت المفروض.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. Stanley? Hello? Are you...
ده احنا
Is
المفروض.
everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice. I
نهاية.
need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me?
احنا كده خلصنا The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Stanley, this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose. Do something. Anything. This is more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take as much time as you need.
خد الوقت اللي انت محتاجه. ماشي. من النهاية اهي.
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it.
What?
If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them.
بيقول في حد بيتتبع ستانلي. هو اكيد هو عارف ده، متأكد منه. هو لو بص اللوت على جنبه ولا حاجة هو
It was
هيبقى
only a
ليه.
matter of time.
ده كان مسألة وقت. في نهاية من النهايات احنا مجربناش.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting
Yeah,
room,
كان
and
من
Stanley
هنا.
knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was
النهاية
okay.
من هنا عامة.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hoping coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
لا شكرا. احنا عملنا غلطة. تمام، ما كانش قصدي اعملها.
The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
هو شغل لنا حبة موسيقى علشان لو نصدق ان احنا تعبانين ولا حاجة.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
هنخلص الاندنج دي وخلاص كده. هنشوف بقى الاندنج التانية. على ما اعتقد دي كانت في النيو كونتنت، على ما اعتقد يعني.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door
أنا بس
that
هندخل
read
من هنا برضه.
Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall,
موت نفسنا
Stanley would
وخلاص.
meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At
هي
this
مش
point,
اندنج دي بس
Stanley was
اندنج
making
واحدة
a
تانية.
conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
ايه ده؟ هوب بقى. اوكي، هل احنا متنا؟ انا ناسي. لا، بص بقى الحتة دي، ده اكيد من الالترا ديلوكس.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise,
Listen.
he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
بص بص.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helpless
بعد ما قال فيرويل ستانلي، الناريتور اللي هو المعلق ده عيط.
into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
بص.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
ده
When
بتاع new
every path you
content.
can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
ده الاكزit. الكلام ده كله بتاع اسمه ايه ده على فكرة، بتاع النيو كونتنت.
Oh,
that's
look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
عملنا
Can you
البتاع ده.
see? Can you
آه،
see how
تقدر
much
تشوف
they need one another?
كل واحد محتاج التاني،
No, perhaps not.
او ممكن لا.
Sometimes these things cannot be seen.
يعني ساعات الحاجات دي ممكن ما بتتشافش.
But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
انا بفكر نعمل كويت منيو ونشوف اللي هيحصل. فاحنا كنا هنموت ساعتها، بس ماشي. هل يا ترى ايه اللي هيحصل لما ندخل تاني ولا اي حاجة؟
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a
ترى
memo.
نعمل اندنج دي وخلاص ولا ايه رأيكم؟ مش مهم، نعملهاش بقى عادي.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct
أنا
way to
دلوقتي
the meeting
افتكرت
room,
احنا
and
عملنا ايه
Stanley knew it
غلط.
perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
ماشي، احنا المرة اللي فاتت دخلنا الباب الشمال ده، احنا هنكمل على طول.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked... All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map, because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? I don't think I put a lot of time into that, because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing, because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what, let me take a stab in the dark at a new design and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin. Okay, I'm going to stop you there Now, tell me
What?
about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here.
اوكي، احنا عملنا المرة اللي فاتت 5 وكده، نجرب 4. ايه طيب؟
Okay, so we're getting somewhere. Clearly there's something here that speaks to you. If I can be honest here, I really don't have any idea where I'm going with this. This whole third door thing was just a stab in the dark. But I guess you're into it, so let's keep this party train rolling. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look. Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please.
ايه ده؟ هو الحتة دي المفروض ما كانتش تحصل. ده glitch. Begin the game again.
Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much that it was.
هل الباب التالت لسه موجود؟ لا.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay. But
ده مش دي. تقريبا دي كانت في النيو كونتنت. استنوا كده. تعالى ندخل كده النيو كونتنت.
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken.
اوكي، المايك كان هيبقى بايظ دلوقتي. تيست كهربت نفسي. تيست. اوكي. نيو كونتنت.
Oh good, you noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
بصوا بقى. بصوا هيورينا ايه.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra-deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra-deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
بص.
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
اعتقد هي دي بقى.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Okay.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Hear your name in the game. لحظة. أنا عايز بس أعرف هي البتاع اللي أنا كنت شفتها راحت فين. ألاقي هنا.
Now here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes, you see, okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy gamers. We hear you, and I promise it will happen. What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
Out of order. اوكي. اوكي انا ما شفتش البتاع ده قبل كده.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much
ما شفتش
catchier
البتاع
than
ده قبل
Ultra
كده.
Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But all right, have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
احنا خارجين. اوكي. هنخرج دلوقتي. اوكي.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay, are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on, let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go, version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2." Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
بصوا بقى. أنا أول مرة أشوف الكلام ده. لحظة. ده غير كل حاجة. يا ابن اللعيبة. غير كل حاجة بمعنى الكلمة. اللي عملنا begin the game. تصدقوا؟ البلالين دي.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
وده.
Perhaps Stanley picked up the bucket.
في حاجات كتيرة جدا. حاجات كتيرة جدا نقدر نعملها.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
نجرب.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now,
اوه انا فتحت البي سينك، لا الحمد لله. بس هي دي اللي معمولة كي. عايزة 1080 60 هرتز.
in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable.
البتاع ده هيعمل لاج medium.
At this point, Stanley was
اوكي ده شكلها حتة من اللعبة. يا اما ده.
so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the pin number for the keypad was 2845.
2 2 8 4 5.
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical.
كان هعمل حاجة بسرعة يا جماعة وهرجع تاني. Be right back. اوكي انا رجعت جيم بلاي، يلا بينا.
Explanation.
ماشي، انا عايز اعرف بقى ايه اللي اتغير عند الرومز الجديدة دي بقى. حتى الفونت بتاع بقت لودنج
The elevator raced downward,
بدل كانت the
plummeting
end is never
towards
the
an
end.
unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not
لحظة.
for the bucket, soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
اوكي يا ترى ايه اللي هيحصل بقى؟
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life. and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
عندنا الماين كنترول. اكيد دلوقتي هنشوف بقى ايه اللي هيحصل. انا مش عارف ايه اللي هيحصل بجد. نهاية جديد. لا
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness.
ستانلي اند باكيت.
Was it over?
نفس الكلام بس زود الباكيت.
Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and...
ايه ده؟ ايه ده؟
Wait, what was happening? Why had the door stopped?
ايه ده؟
Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
ايه؟ النهاية دي كانت
Stanley knew the office
بتزعل
layout like the
جدا.
back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they
نجرب
were.
نجرب
Just
ناخد
a matter
الباكيت
of
تاني.
time.
ولا هو ده كان ادنج واحد بس.
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
اوكي.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else.
The cargo lift, yes. Good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do. Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked. In here, said the bucket. Go into this dark room over here. Stanley once again obeyed blindly. Now pick up the phone, said the bucket. Pick up the phone and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together. This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
كان الباكت بيتكلم لنا. Well, hello Stanley, it's me, your bucket. Press D-pad down to take me to work with you.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head. Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
الباكت فين؟ هذا؟ الباكت اهو. تمام. هاته.
Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
بصوا بيقولوا don't listen to the loud man. ما تسمعش للراجل اللي صوته عالي. خدنا البيت معاك.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
Like ignore anyone in your life except for me.
It's sad, but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
عايز اجرب حاجة. لو احنا عملنا ده هنا نقدر نعمل اي حاجة. طب هنا. طيب. You believe I'm real, don't you, Stanley? Please, ماشي.
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another. Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
Okay. مش عارف اخده. اوكي لازم اخده بالماوس مش عارف ليه.
Oh no.
ايه ده؟
I'm having feelings for the bucket. No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation. Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it or I'll...
احنا قفلنا عينينا. Go back to work Stanley. اوكي. هو نهاية جديدة مع الباكت. كل مرة نهاية جديدة مع الباكت.
How long was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something crucial happen while my senses... The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door.
يا جماعة نقفل. مش عايز انا الصراحة. فنقفل وهبقى اعمل ان شاء الله انا بنختم لما نختم اللعبة وهحاول الاقي الاندنج اللي انا بقول لكم عليها. تمام. بس اتمنى تكون الصراحة ان اللعبة عجبتكم. لو اللعبة عجبتكم ما تنسوش تقولوا لي ان هي عجبتكم يعني في الكومنتات. لو انت على تويتش ما تنساش تعمل فولو. ولو لو انت او انت يعني على تويتش ما تنسوش تعملوا فولو. ولو انتوا اسمه ده على اليوتيوب ما تنسوش تعملوا شير ولايك وسبسكرايب. بس يلا اشوفكوا الفيديو الجاي والسلام عليكم.